Thank you for joining this SHRM webcast. It is my absolute pleasure to be here today. A little surreal to have been asked to indulge in something like this, but I've been really intentional about the content, so I think you'll pull away something great today. My name is Maris Ashby. I currently work for Valiantys, and it's an IT consulting firm here in the United States. Though we are actually a global organization, and we are constantly problem solving for sort of remote work, modern work, as we welcome new team members, new organizations through acquisitions. Like so many of you, I'm sure, we are constantly problem solving. And so when asked to discuss with my peers, what are we facing today? Myself and some of my colleagues identified that maybe this could be a good place to put our time. So I'm thrilled to dive in today about sort of modern working styles and kind of specifically the adaptation of tools for the HR community. Now, this isn't going to be a tools demo. They're beautiful solutions for us all throughout the market. But I'll talk about some of the tools that we're using, some of the ones that I think have really kind of been tailored and catered to serve the delicate needs of the HR community. I myself have worked in the HR space for, goodness, 8 years. I began my career in technology, in fact, then was kidnapped. I'm sure a lot of us have pretty similar stories where we can be maybe empathetic, maybe curious, and then align getting to care for people every day. It's my pleasure to work in HR. It is certainly where I want to continue to align myself. I have primarily worked as a business partner during those 8 years, but I do want to make sure that this is relevant content even outside of that role. So while I'll be coming forward to you and sort of sharing my experiences as an HR business partner, the tools that we'll be looking at, the approaches, really just the frameworks that we'll be discussing, they're really relevant for absolutely every single one of us. The reality is, as HR team members, we're problem solving all of the time. I myself, my organization is global, and this means a lot of new ways to approach the working style, right? Different time zones, different work cultures, how we interact with one another, the solutions that we use, the regulations imposed on all those different areas. That's really what we are at the core, is we are problem solvers who care for our people. What I'll also talk about today is really the evolution of HR, and that's the most exciting piece. Goodness, it's a buzz right now, the world of HR, and we've really started to get an even better seat at the table. That's important, right? As I'll dive into, we're the eyes and the ears of an organization, tend to be the voices and the advocates for our people and for our leaders. So what an exciting time that all of us are really at the forefront of this evolution in HR. So let's dive in. I want to preface this by saying that this is my first webinar. It may be a little bit clunky, and I apologize for that. It was also very important for me to get this content right for you all, to be valuable and to be just, a good takeaway. So you will see me reading a little bit, but that's because I did a lot of the upfront work to make sure that this was really tailored. Without further ado, let's jump into breaking new ground in HR. So as I mentioned, the scope of HR is expanding broader and faster than ever, right? We're driving and owning processes that either didn't exist for a long time, or what we see now is that new processes are being owned by HR, maybe ones that had been previously owned in different parts of the organization. Things like change management. Oh, that's a buzzword right now, and it should be. As I said, we're the eyes and the ears of the organization. So when we're in great times of change, we have to be the ones extending that voice. We have to say, have you thought about the what ifs, the communicators? We see the best and the worst, and with empathy, seek to solve those hard problems. And finally, we're the voice when it comes to what should happen during all those times of change. But what we can say is, even when we're not acting necessarily in the role of change manager for an organization, we are absolutely change advocates. And this itself has become an established role within an organization, and that's a beautiful evolution for us. Let's talk about, the digital HR transformation. Oh my goodness, AI. Integrating digital technologies like AI and automation into HR processes. I'm sure no one on this call is immune to that right now, right? How can we reshape our organization? How can we utilize these tools? What does it mean for the organization, both within our discipline and outside of it? Um, I think, it was Lattice that just made history onboarding AI employees. That's not onboarding employees using AI. I would like to think a lot of us are already incorporating things. No, they onboarded digital employees, bots, and they're problem solving in their organization, right? They've got assigned leaders, they have learning paths, they're getting meeting invites, they're helping with meeting invites. What a world, right? Maybe that's my first question to all of you is, how would you support them? Here's a better question. How would you support your team at the introduction of them? That's different. DE&I. So we can finally put attention, really that should have always been there, on how people feel at work, wherever they come from, whatever their experience was, wherever they're headed, right? Equity. We get to be attentive. We get to truly listen to what the needs are of our individuals and how they're adapting in their workplaces. We've got to listen. Very prevalent, right? Remote work. Remote work management. I tell you, no, none of us were immune when the pandemic hit. That's something that every HR professional talks about, is how much our teams changed during that time and how much we needed to adapt. I've never had to find solutions quicker. And some of them were really, really scary. And we're not over that yet, right? I think every organization across the world is thinking about, what is their workforce? How is their workforce working? How can I adapt my workforce to be the most effective that they can? And we're going to talk about some of those things, but excuse me, nose is itchy, of course. When it comes to the remote work, right? Absolutely none of us were immune to the pandemic or to the changes. And before before that big push, traditionally HR roles were often summarized in two ways, right? We make people feel good, the warm fuzzy side to HR, the stereotype, or we get people out the door, that kind of darker, deeper, important side that none of us can avoid. I love to think that we were either the warhammer walking into the room or the person giving a hug. But today, HR is moving beyond these, and it's moving beyond those stereotypes. And it's really at the forefront of driving healthy change within organizations. I'm going to keep using that word because change is at the forefront of everything right now in our discipline and in others, but we are the ones who are needing to address it. So let's talk about those current trends. And I want to state that, all of this is very important information as we go into the tools, because it's what we're solving for, right? One of the significant trends that we see is the shift from administrative tasks to strategic involvement. And that could not be more real. Dave Ulrich, right, a thought leader in HR, I'm sure almost every one of you here has heard of him. And if you haven't, I deeply encourage you to look at his content. He is a very, very, very masterful mind. But He states that the modern HR function must focus on delivering value to the business. This means being involved in the strategic decisions, driving change, and contributing to business outcomes. Or contributing to business outcomes. Okay, what does that mean? It means we are finally delivering value to the business. I don't mean finally in the sense that we didn't do that before, but we are involved in much more value. We are involved in many more areas that are delivering value. And one of the most prevalent ways that we as HR team members are doing this is through efficiency. What a word. We can all define it. We all know what it means. We all want it. But it can be hard to solve for, or it can be deep to solve for, right? We've got really entangled webs of infrastructure, systems, services, software that we're utilizing, right? It's not so easy as to go get the big best new thing. We've got budgetary restrictions. We do have compliance to worry about. We have to worry about how much change we're putting on our team members. But efficiency is at the root of the value that we as HR professionals can give. And again, this is why we're deep diving into this topic. That's what it means to be a modern HR professional, is how are you seeking those efficiencies, and then how are you solving for those efficiencies? How are you streamlining? And then how are you serving based off of those? That's actually the strategic framework that I believe can actually guide us to the greater success in our HR endeavors. It's encapsulated in those 4 powerful actions: seek, solve, streamline, serve. And you can almost think of this as a formula for navigating the complexities of modern HR. Each one of these actions represents a critical aspect of our roles. I'm going to take a minute with these. So seek. Our journey begins by seeking out the right talent. Even if you aren't in the recruitment space, you're involved, right? We also begin with best practices, the most innovative solutions. We have to stay curious and continuously explore all of the ways in which we enhance our capabilities and the value that we bring to our organization. We are seeking. We are listening. We are asking. When was the last time you asked your employees, how are you doing? How are you feeling? Pulse surveys. They're amazing. Solve. So once we have sought out the right elements, our next step is to solve for the challenges that we face. And this involves critical thinking, collaboration, creativity to address problems effectively, and keyword, efficiency. Once we're solving, right, once we found those solutions, this is one of the most collaborative times in our careers or in our project work. It's arguably one of the more exciting things that we get to do. It allows us to be involved and understand the depth of challenges and obstacles of different teams. But then we have to take that information and we have to action on it. Really, too easy is it to ask the questions, but how are you conveying that into action? We're going to do that by streamlining. So with solutions in place, our focus shifts to streamlining process and operations. By optimizing things like workflows and eliminating inefficiencies, we ensure that the HR function runs smoothly, which actually supports all of the organizational goals. This is where we'll spend time in that tooling piece that I talked about, sort of the streamline, because I don't want to just talk at you for this hour, but this is meant to be valuable and meant to kind of gift those aha moments of, I see, I can do something here, I can do something about this. Finally, we'll talk about what it means to serve as an HR team member. I like this word. I think that it really encapsulates this idea of care and consideration for team members. And no one will argue that it's more important than ever to really foster a sense of safety and security in the workplace. This should have always been important. But now we have data-driven results as to why this is effective and impactful. So anyone who didn't believe in creating atmospheres like this, warm atmospheres, Well, they can see that they were wrong. So the door is open. Ultimately, everything we do in HR is about serving our people and our organization, whether it's providing support, fostering a positive work environment, or driving engagement. Our service is the cornerstone for our success. I love that line. Our service is the cornerstone of our success. We are what helps our team members succeed, not just within the HR space. So let's delve a little bit deeper into each one of these actions. I want to give you practical examples of how we can apply these to achieve the excellence in HR. As I just said, fostering our people has never been more critical. It should have been, but now we actually understand that talent is a strategic asset. Talent is a strategic asset. That is fact. That's a fact. And it's not just about how we're winning in the marketplace, but how we're growing our talent to compete in the marketplace. Our team, they are our ideas, our innovators, our solution architects. They are the ones who are truly propelling ourselves, our organizations, adding value where we can. Maybe it's value with clients, maybe it's value in competition. And we're the ones who are fostering their growth, their well-being, and really just their overall happiness. I think a really great way to illustrate how important HR is right now, how that's growing, is that you can see at any time. I'm sure many of you have already done so. If you were to jump into LinkedIn right now and just take a broad look at the types of roles that HR and people and culture teams are hiring for. Wow, robust responsibilities. It is a fact that HR professionals are being paid higher more than ever, and not just meaning that they are individual increases to the salaries, right? But as far as their ranking within an organization. We all know on this call that imperfectly, but when we see a salary raise, it's because the value is being raised too, right? That value is being identified. It signals a greater importance in our role in the organization. So raise your hand if you've seen this, right? And if you haven't, maybe, I'll invite you to reach out to me afterwards, because if you're not seeing this new value, or if you're struggling with teams to see this new value that you gift, you might get into a position where your organization never sees that. So we can talk, but it's this idea of a transition from tactical to strategic roles, which involves the shift in mindset and capabilities. We, more than ever before, have to align with a business strategy and move to a company level view. We also must align HR efforts, our efforts, with the business strategy. This is the foundation of the approaches we're talking about today, which start with an obvious one, but a big one. We must be empowering our leaders, as they are the front line. We are only as good as our front line. And I have a very good example of this. So what I mean by one of the best efficiencies and one of the best modernizations that we can put out there as an HR team is to truly empower leadership. All right, what do we mean by that? Let's unpack, and let me use an example from my prior organization. So we were seeking to solve the fact that we had a lot of new leaders quickly. Harkening back to that time of pandemic, like so many other teams, we practically doubled our workforce, which meant practically doubled our leadership size. We have more new leaders than ever, and we also had a lot of leaders that were propelling up it into even more senior leadership roles, and by extension, having to approach things in a new way, right? The leader of leaders. My leadership team at that time, what an idea. They came together and they said, let's do a toolkit. Now, this toolkit was very carefully cultivated. All of us on the HR business partner team came forward, right? We sort of individually represented different departments. And together we talked about a lot of the patterns that we would see, the coaching opportunities that we had to work through more typically. And we just all together identified areas that would really help support our HR team. This was all across the board. This was worrying about how to approach a difficult conversation. What happens when someone discloses to you a disability, right? How do I handle that as a frontline leader? I could go on and on and on about this. And if you don't have a leadership enablement or sort of growth path curriculum for your leaders, I really, really urge you to do so, because what we saw happen was we were getting fewer questions. Now, your value is not in how many questions you get as a team member, right? It means that we prepared them in a way that they felt more sound and secure and confident in their abilities to lead their team members. When it came to a hard truth, when we're talking about constructive feedback or gratification, if there was conflict on the team, if maybe a team member was navigating something difficult and they had to have a flexibility conversation, we gave them those tools. And what did this do? This opened up my ability and my capabilities to go and attack even more projects, right? Or address some of the processes that really, really needed updating. Efficiency is right there. And we are now in a world where documentation is easier because it's not just a wall of text, right? We can enjoy really inspiring our team when we are putting out learning, right? We've got videos at our fingertips. We have the ability to put together self-serve portals, which we'll dive into a little bit more. It's important to talk about utilizing the tools that are out there. And yes, in my example, we carefully crafted the curriculum for our team members. We wanted to say, here's how to be a successful leader, but here's also how to be a successful leader here in cultivating our culture. But don't rewrite the wheel, right? If you can pull the foundation from other magnificent organizations who have either put it out there, LinkedIn is an extraordinary resource that's going to have, countless, endless elements that you can incorporate in this and get a really quick win with maximum results. I would love if anyone on this call, would you please share if you've done something similar where maybe you have a leadership toolkit or manager playbook. What are some of the things that you've seen the most impactful in this area? Because in my opinion, this is one of the best things that we can share. Let's talk about empowering self-service. So I kind of briefly mentioned this, but this is a significant trend in HR. We can enable employees to access information and perform tasks independently. Efficiency. This is so important. But let's talk about the applications for us in HR, right? I don't need to sing the praises of how magnificent is it to have a portal where a team member can simply say like, oh my goodness, how do I put in PTO? Hey, what does our handbook say about maternity leave? This is something, again, that you don't need to be at the ground level. So many of our resources, right, that you've already engaged in as an organization that you're already paying for, they're going to have ample resources like this for you, and I urge you to use them. But let's bring it home, right? Let's talk about how resources like this have become more important than ever as HR professionals for our day-to-day, because really we've moved into the age of verify versus search. I'm going to take a minute with this, right? Verify versus search. As I mentioned, I've been in HR about 8 years now. This does not make me particularly tenured, but it has given me a good amount of scope into what has changed. When I first began my career, I really believe that one of the advantages that I had, what led to some of my successes, some of my early successes, is that I was incredibly resourceful. Please don't be afraid to not have the answer. That's an age-old saying, but it's true, right? I have a curious mind and I would seek to understand. And what I found quickly is the curiosity was a wonderful advantage because, unlike many other team members, I did not have a robust knowledge bank behind me. I did not, for example, study in the HR realm when I was in college. And there were amazing, unbelievable legacy knowledge coming forward, unrivaled experience that team members could share, etc. But we were already evolving at that time to the accessibility. We Knowledge is so accessible now. I don't have to have it anymore. I don't have to bring perfect, crafted knowledge to the table. I need to know where to find it. And the uniqueness of each of our roles in HR lends to that as well. We're all going to slightly use things differently, different resources, different banks. I am so grateful for the people operations side for my organization, the wealth of knowledge that they have and their ability to find the answers that they need quickly. I have a different skill set, right? But I'm using, and they are using, the tools that are accessible to find these solutions. We need to now more than ever ask the right questions, not have the right answers. Let's talk about prompt writing. Prompt writing is probably one of the best, it's one of the best areas that you can put your time to right now. Our world is AI. From ChatGPT as a big name, Perplexity. Oh my goodness, I could go on and on and on. Maybe that's for another webinar. Our ability to find information is really only as good now as our ability to ask the right questions. So be diving in. I want to encourage all of you after this call to just go ahead and jump into LinkedIn and search generative AI. And see what posts in your beautiful communities comes up. Because this too, you don't have to know how to talk to a robot. We have the beautiful advantage of being more networked than ever before. So when we look at sites like LinkedIn, many of our colleagues will share things like, here are effective prompts for HR professionals. It's so funny for me to be saying, hey, go and look at this, go and look at this. But if you haven't, you need to. Prompt writing really is the future, and it's a skill set that we are actually going to start to hire for. It's already happening. But again, it's our ability to use resources fast, because gone are the days that I take maybe 30 minutes, an hour to carefully craft a response based off of Google or maybe outsourcing from different team members, etc. We need to verify, right? We need to be confident in the answers that we get when we're utilizing these tools, but that takes a lot less time, right? I'll ask ChatGPT a question. Maybe it's relatively along the legal frame. An example of which states within the United States extend the most robust paternal leave. It would give me an answer. Now you can cross-check it, right? And I would encourage you to do so. Or, you can quickly jump into SHRM's website, beautiful resource, sing its praises every day to verify it. But that's a takeaway from today. Verify versus search. It will take you just a moment to find the answers that you're looking for. We need to shift your skill set into tools. Think about that. I have another story, but I think that this is an important one. One of my early skills recognized was my ability to translate. And what that means is, as I mentioned, I was in technology for a while. So at that time, I was taking pretty deep technical jargon and I was translating it into a way that team members could understand it. So, for example, if we were integrating a new system, I would have to understand the complexities of the technology, but make sure to outline only the most important elements to team members and say it in a way that really wasn't technically aligned, but impact aligned. Great. So when I pulled that over and into HR, what this started to transform into was, ooh, let me help you say that in a better way. How many of us have had to have that conversation of, let me review maybe an email that you're getting ready to send during a time of conflict, internal employee communication. We reframe it, we rework it, because we often have this really, really, really incredible ability as HR professionals to come forward with empathy and sympathy and with really true inclusion, understanding the complexities of the teams and what it is the needs are at that time. So as a translator, I was able to really utilize these skills. I'm sad in a way that now ChatGPT does this for leaders. So instead of spending maybe 4, 5, 6 hours with new leaders, helping them to understand, here's a really good way to craft this. Here's a good approach. I would recommend something here, there. It's more of their time, more of my time. ChatGPT will do it, right? And it takes out so much time. I had to convey or translate my skill set into a tool and utilize that. And now I concentrate on prompt writing, and I concentrate on teaching prompt writing, because it took time, ample time, out of my day, out of their day, after an employee's day. You can ask for tone. You can convey a specific tone. We've got to be utilizing these. The shift allows HR professionals to really focus on strategic activities too, while actually providing employees with the tools that they need to manage their own HR related tasks. There's the solve piece that we talked about, right? I need more time in my day. I'm sure you need more time in your day. Every single one of us could. Think about what happens if we just gift ourselves, right? And through solving, that we're able to gift ourselves just 2 more hours of productive work during the day, or 2 more hours of accessibility. Wow. Wow. I know you guys are all great at delivering results, and think what those 2 hours could do. Okay. So we've solved, right? But how do we streamline? Let's start to kind of dive into some tools at our fingertips. I probably could have jumped into ChatGPT for you all. That's not going to be a good use of your time. I probably could have showcased the ways in which you can use the search bar in LinkedIn. It's not just for searching people or searching roles. Use it. But again, that's not going to be a great use of your time. What I want to do is kind of outline the new ways in which tools are adapting for HR professionals. And it's in ways that sometimes are unexpected. So let's talk about streamline, right? Or process management is really the well-known name. But process management involves implementing systems and workflows that support both run the business and transform the business activities. So here's how we can do this effectively, right? In my case, I am an Atlassian suite advocate. Now, I do have the pleasure, my organization, Valiantys, we are a premium partner of Atlassian, but I am not here to sell that tool. Goodness, I am not a salesperson. But I want to give you context. So yes, I'll be showing you Atlassian tools today. And the reason is these are actually the tools I'm utilizing as an HR professional. I have my choice. I do. I have my choice. I have a lot of elements at my fingertips. These are the ones that I've chosen because Atlassian, as a mega corporation, global corporation, they are solving for so many things that mirror my own. They are a global organization who are really working towards just a people-centric, work anywhere, work anytime organization. I have 32 nationalities, right? We're in 10 different countries, and that's difficult. My organization is even actually very excitingly in Australia now. And what this means is sometimes there's not overlap in time. And so my tools need to work for me so that I don't have to ask my team members to be on a 3 a.m. call to collaborate, right? We must work in public. We must utilize the tools at our fingertips, and there's some really cool ways to do this. So if you're having to adapt, this is really, really important. And then we'll jump into some tools. If you're having to adapt your process to fit the tool, then you have the wrong tool. Your process is your identity, and it should be intimate to you and to your organization. If you're having to adapt your process to your tool, you have the wrong tool. Let that sink in. Your process is an extension of your carefully crafted culture, of your business strategy. It needs to incorporate all of these things and not be hindered because a specific tool is putting boxes around your capabilities. Okay, let's jump into what really project management can look like. So what I mean by here is a very, very modern solution on how we as HR professionals can solve for big project work and what's effectively a roadmap. I'm going to share with you all. Now, I want to jump into, this is a tool called Jira. And I'm going to really, really, really reiterate, you do not need these tools. This is but a type of solution that's out there that so many different organizations have carefully constructed for you, right? There's a lot of different solutions for this, but I really appreciate the adaptiveness of Jira. As I just said, I need my tool to adapt for us because I'm solving very unique things. We are, when in the past, for example, when my organization has acquired an additional team, an additional organization, we are blending the beauty of two different cultures, of different process, policies, working styles, etc. I am a blend, right? And I don't want to lose sight of any of those roots. And so a tool like Jira allows us to work really effectively. So I do have to say that, of course, hi, I work in HR. I can't show you my active boards due to confidentiality reasons. So this is a little bit of a mock-up, but it is really quite a true reflection of a way in which my team is actively problem solving, right? Actively project working. The beauty of just a dashboard, right? Of how can you showcase all of your work at once? So this is a view that I particularly enjoy. And again, this isn't isolated to Jira, but what it takes a look at is all of the most important things to our team, within our specific lanes or in the grander sense of people and culture, what it is we hope to achieve this year, when, of course, we hope to achieve it, what that looks like kind of zoomed out. And then it also gives us the beautiful advantage of kind of jumping in and actively working. Now, this isn't a tools demo. I could go through all of the amazing features of this, and maybe that will be a future conversation. I also welcome you all. If your team doesn't have a good project solution right now, I certainly invite any of you to reach out to me. I'm so happy to share this. I'm very, very passionate about tooling and how we can solve for efficiency within HR. So I welcome you and of course the magnificent minds of my colleagues to help you all kind of navigate tool selection. But what's really neat is our ability to now showcase what it is we're working on at any given time. So Brian Dar is one of my actual colleagues. He is the head of, he's basically the global head of enablement. So he's fostering the growth and the learning paths for many of our team members. So we collaborate quite consistently. Doesn't mean we have the same working hours, especially because he is on a global team. So what this means is I can jump in and just say, you know, hey, Brian, I've been working on X. It's done. Take a look. You can link. It's all here. You can move forward in your progress. Everything's right in front of you. Use a tool like this, because instead of, you know, living in your email, do not work projects in your email any longer. Put it where you can do a dashboard. You can see what everyone's working on, what might be overdue. Think about the implications for your leaders and how easy it would be for them to just kind of come in this one-stop shop and say, hey, where are we at? They're amazing update tools, and I want to reiterate that there's an amazing tailorability to these tools. If something like this does feel overwhelming, though, which they can, right? We're not immune to the impact of change. I want to kind of real talk with you for a minute and let you know that even though we've talked about all the ways in which you need to be informed, and you know how important it is for you to be able to find resources of your own, you're also not expected to have every answer. Let others work for you too. So in this perfect example, Jira, which I would say most people identify as a software development tool, for lack of a better stamp, they have templates that are already constructed for you as team members. And the way in which, say, a tool like this, which again, it's not isolated to Atlassian, but they have team members that they're going to extend out to you to help you carefully craft this, right? You can just say, my needs are this. My needs are this. You can worry about your needs, and the tool can do the rest for you. Trust in that. My hope is that none of you find any of the tools that are at your fingertips too daunting, too hard to move to, because it is so new and changing. Because here's the reality. You can get help wherever you need. You're going to have a person or you're going to have a bot, and you're going to see how all of them together come together to support you, which is important too. Don't feel like you need to have all the answers. I want to also showcase a Trello board. So we've talked about, of course, you know, this idea of project management or process program management. There is an incredible onboarding workflow and task list that could be integrated here. And what's cool about, say this, again, not isolated to Atlassian, but they do an incredible job. What we see happen is your HR team is now fully integrated with your technology team, right? The asset control, the roles, the responsibilities, the access, identity and access management. It's all in one place. Get outside of your emails. I wanted to also showcase what it looks like to have a to-do list that is digital. Now, I'm gonna flash this. I am a paper person at heart. Okay. It seems like a lot of us in HR are, right? I like the fancy pads and the pretty color pens. It works very, very well for me. It helps with my memory. It's kind of soothing to sit down. I have a joy for penmanship. Great. All of these different things I can value in other places. We are in a digital world. Everyone here, we are in a digital world. I know not all of you are working in a global setting. I know not all of you are having to solve for the exact same things right now, but I want to encourage you to take a look at this and think through maybe what a good solution for you might be when we pull our to-do list out front, right? Accessible to anyone. Trello, which is a free tool, a wonderful, wonderful tool. You can actually expand it into the business if that's what you want as well. But what you can do is showcase and share with your team members, with your leadership, what it is you're working on. You're working in public. You're no longer needing to peacock with your leader, right? You're no longer needing to say, oh, here's let me try to remember how to craft that update. It's You have the ability to share better than ever. And most importantly, what I'm finding is that as an HR team member, we have to be accessible at the drop of a dime. So my working style has evolved. And I use a tool like this. Again, this is a sort of a demo version because I thought very long and hard about whether or not to share my very personal Trello board. But with the delicacies, the names, and of course, the top secret things my organization's working on, I couldn't. But this is a really, really good reflection of how I'm doing things. And yes, there are beautiful implications when we're sharing our work when it's seen, right? I can jump in and talk about, who's coming in, and what I need to do for them. I need to prepare onboarding documents for new hires starting tomorrow, right? And so then anyone at any time can see that this is now complete. Once I've jumped in there, I can move it to completed, which is pretty wonderful. This is not new and novel. So I want you actually to be thinking about the importance of being accessible and how very often we have to jump out of things. There's a really, really, really wonderful and very inspired trend right now that encourages everyone to block productivity time on their calendars. Who's heard of that? And there's a whole bunch of different ways in which we can approach that, right? There's a lot of top tricks, best practices. Wow. I would love for that to work. I've tried them all because I need my productivity time. I know you need your productivity time. It's more important for me to be accessible. It's more important for me to be able to say, I'm right here. What do you need? How can I help? My ability has absolutely blossomed once moving to a tool like this, where at every single step of the way, I can see where I just was. I don't need to worry about context shifting. My team members can call to arms without me needing to take the time to do a summary. Here's what I've done. Here's what I've been working on. I can say, Brian, Mayday. And he can jump in and he can see that we still need to prepare onboarding documents for the new hires that start tomorrow. Miss Amy Wong needs some things. Great. Jumps right on in. You just took hours. You did not delay the necessities of your role as an HR professional or as an HR leader. You've just expanded the capabilities. We utilize this at a very big scale. I would definitely challenge you to do so. There are countless resources to learn how to use a tool like Trello, both from a business standpoint or just an individual standpoint. It's very, very easy to get started and another absolutely fantastic resource. Finally, I want to talk about, this one's exciting. Are you using video clips? That may sound funny, right? Well, we see them exhaustively in our personal lives, but there are amazing professional implications and applications for the use of a video clip. Now, one of the big ones, let's kind of talk about that for a minute, is, for example, we would send welcome emails to new employees. Like, this is a pretty standard task for most onboarding team members. Send them a video. What about gratitude? What about a hard conversation? Let me give you an example, and this is a real example, which is pretty cool. This is my colleague, Brian, again. I'm utilizing a tool called Loom. There are a lot of free elements to Loom as well, and you can do like a 5-minute video clip. Pretty incredible. I do know that Zoom has a component like this too. But let's just jump in and I'll showcase a way in which we are utilizing video clips in HR, and we're transforming what it means to work in a digital age.
Hi, Maria. I just wanted to say, I just saw your presentation today and I thought it was amazing. Wow. The way you presented complex information, the way you answered some really hard questions, it was just so impressive. I learned a lot, and I can only imagine that so many other people did as well. And to say nothing of the months of work that you put into this project. The results clearly shine through today. So again, I just want to say congratulations and thanks so much for everything you do.
I love that. That gave me such a warm, fuzzy feel. I'm not Maria, but Brian did give me permission to share this as just a way to showcase true gratitude, right? Think about the difference of, hey, good job, Maria, versus that. We've, in our organization, we've also utilized clips like that. Our executive team have answered hard questions. I've utilized them for change management. Oh, change management. So the integration of new software system services. Ooh, there's a new button when it comes to putting in, your PTO, or what is this? How do I work this new feature in HiBob? You can send a little clip. Let your mind go a buzz on that, because that is so easy to work. Again, this is not a tools demo. I can't just jump in and show you it all, but gone are the days where you, your leaders, your executive team members need to sit and craft an email for an hour, then for review upon review upon review, just to try to make sure that your intent and your tone is conveyed appropriately. Your video clips do that for you. Use them. Oh, use them. Okay, we're starting to get kind of close on time, so I really want to talk about the last little piece here, which is serving, right? We have so many amazing ways to streamline, but the most important thing we have to keep in mind is that all of the streamlining means that we only expand our ability to serve, not take it away. We're not taking away the elements of being an HR team member or a people and culture team member, but we are just maximizing them. So personal management, right? This is essential. We talked a little bit, sure, about like Trello and all of that, but I'm going to talk about some kind of unpopular things here, and I really want to inspire your creativity, your thoughts on how maybe without knowing it, there's a lot of impact to your time and accessibility. So effective time management. One day someone's going to crack this code. Mine's not perfect, but I have tried every single approach under the sun. There are magnificent ones, there are proven ones, but we are unique in HR. As I said, we have to adapt, we have to be there, we have to just put our hands down and say, I'm here. So what do we have to do? There's an age-old saying, make your time valuable. Let's value our time and make our meetings valuable. Unpopular, get rid of recurring meetings. I'm coming at you as a business partner again, right? This is just an example, but as a business partner, I play a pretty key role in collaborating and in supporting leadership team members. When we do have to meet, I want to make those meetings the most effective that I can. I'm going to utilize proven successes like the 5-minute rule. This is an incredible feature, or an incredible new approach to meeting. We take, just 2 to 5 minutes ahead of time to read a little bit of a summary or an agenda or a recap. Or I send a 5-minute video and say, here's what we need to cover. Here's what we're addressing. Maybe it can all be addressed in all those. But we do need to be effective with our time. And that doesn't simply mean putting an agenda to a recurring meeting, because what ultimately happens with that time is that, we release the ability to to let the current action and current need take over that recurring time, right? We wait, we hold off, we say, oh, I'll address that, I'll think more about this right before my recurring meeting. We just can't be doing that. That doesn't work for HR. What works is for us to stay accessible. So I'm going to challenge you all to, utilize your time more effectively, which means releasing the idea of popularity and building trust based on delivery. Too often, and I myself have had leaders, these were extremely well thought out approaches. I think that they're very, very successful in certain applications, but as an HR team member, what didn't work for me was assigning my value based on how many meetings that I had, assigning my value with how much time I spent with a particular leader. It's not about that, right? It's about how can I deliver? Okay, I deliver when I have time to work on the projects, and I deliver when I can be right there at the drop of a hat. I want to invite us to future time together. Please reach out to me. We're so close on time now that I think that this is a very good and natural stopping point. I'm sure you can hear it in my voice that I could lush and gush about how to really kind of be more effective with our own time. We hear it's inspiring, right? Take command of your schedule. But really what we need to have happen is to reframe this idea that presence is popularity. You don't have to be in office to be liked. You don't have to be right down the hall to be accessible. You need to encourage communication and really kind of extend yourself as that true advisor. With that, HR, yeah, I am your eyes, your ears. We are your eyes and your ears. We're your heart and your hammer. But now we are also your strategic advisors. So solve, seek, streamline, and serve. If you'd like to explore tools or workflows, different solutions, if you'd just like to talk from peer to peer, I so welcome you to do so. It's been my pleasure today. Uh, Thank you so much for this time and for this opportunity. SHRM is an incredible resource. I'm so glad that all of you are here and you're expanding your knowledge. I'm going to go enjoy doing the very same, and I wish all of you such a wonderful day. Thank you.